What do you got for me?
What's wrong with you people?
I got nothing for you.
What's wrong?
You're not David. How y'all feel this morning? I feel rotten. That's how I feel. Well, that was enough for me. We could have had the benediction right there. That was so good.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to The Reformatory, the podcast for the local church and by the local church, and we are your local churchmen. My name is Josh, and I'm here, as always, with the captain, Jack Barry. Jack, my friend, it is good to be with you. I heard from you, both of us had the pleasure this Lord's Day of administering the Lord's Supper to our people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Reformatory United, man. Look at us. I like it.
We were united in the same effort in giving spiritual nourishment to our people. Yes,
I love that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things to do, for sure.
Yeah.
Jack, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, glad to be recording. Glad to be working. Glad to be busy. Cold snap finally hit. We finally feel like we're in January, at least up here in Cedro. We had about 3 weeks of it being like mid 50s to low 60s. And then last couple days, it's like, okay, oh yeah, we're in January. That's right.
This last week, it was pretty cold down here in Tacoma too. So,
yeah. But no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. A lot to be thankful for. A lot of good things happening. Quick announcement, people, before we move on to the Instagrams. We got a special that's running right now as of the release of this episode. If you head on over to our Patreon, and I'll remind you again at the end of this episode, but if you head over to our Patreon right now, we're running a special to where you can get the first month half off. First month of our Patreon half off. The code to do so is PODLUCK. 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 Use the promo code PODLUCK over on our Patreon right now to get half off your first month. Now here's the thing. Full price month is $5.
Yeah, let's be honest about these people.
So half you're getting $250, dude. For it's $2.50 for all 4 episodes brought to you early, plus 2, 4, 6, 8 bonus episodes given to you, plus all the myriad of other things that we post on the Patreon. You're getting all of that for $2.50 if you use the promo code PODLUCK. It will be running through the end of January as a special offer to our listeners that maybe some of y'all, you've been listening, you like the Reformatory, you haven't made your way over to the exclusive, to the VIP lounge, right? You haven't made your way over there to the members only. And we want to make that trip as easy as possible. So for the rest of the month of January, use the promo code PODLUCK, sign up for our Patreon, and get your first month half off. Jack, it's a steal above steals. I mean, we're losing money on the deal. Let's be honest, right? 100%.
How did this come? Did Patreon give us a cut? Who's giving us a cut?
No. I just want more people into the fold, man. I want to make it as easy for people as I can. And 50%, I would have gone more, but 50% was all the options that it gave me at the moment. So
here we go.
We just want people in, man. The Patreon's where it's at. But anyway, longtime listeners, think about it. Head on over there to Patreon, get your first month half off. Use the code PODLUCK. We'd really, really appreciate that. All right, Jack, on to everyone's favorite segment of the PODLUCK, or excuse me, of the podcast, and that is the Don't Forget to Eat Your Instagrams.
And now's the time you've all been waiting for. The Reformatory Podcast presents Don't Forget to Eat Your Instagrams with your hosts, Josh Loftus and Jack Barry. And remember, kids, it's not heresy if you believe it hard enough.
This is Don't Forget to Eat Your Instagrams. And remember, kids, it's not heresy if you believe it hard enough. That is how it works. And Jack, that very well may be how this first group of individuals think that it works, because they have had a special message from the Lord. The Lord has come down from heaven and given them a special revelation, nay, a mission, if you will. And I'm going to let them tell you about it right now.
God told us to start a Christian nightclub in Los Angeles. Yeah. It's the best place to meet friends, make community, and just vibe with other believers in LA. Our next event is on New Year's Eve, December 31st at 8 p.m. And we're doing it dress up fancy style. And we want to see you there to turn up in the new year with us. Sign up in the link in bio. Yeah.
Dude, aren't you stoked about this?
No, I'm not.
God told us
not the slightest.
It's a Christian nightclub. How does that work? It's
I'm wondering like, that myself.
It's like Fresca shots and Gatorade, bottomless Gatorade.
Seriously,
right?
What are we talking about here? Like,
yeah,
you're going to be cut off after
bottle
one
service
drink.
is
That's
just a
it.
pastor going around like getting your like getting your
one
confession.
Drink. There's one drink and that's it.
There's one drink. There's water,
one drink,
and then we're bringing in the Fresca. And it's just like, it's like Toby Mac on loop. I'm describing hell, is what I'm describing.
I mean, basically.
I can't think of anything I would want to go to less than a Christian nightclub.
Yeah.
I mean, a nightclub across the board, but I mean, I'm not I don't want to go to one of those either. But even much less a Christian nightclub, because
I don't get this.
Look, here's the thing. I'm all for redeeming the culture. Right. And taking things that are in the culture and redeeming them, that has its limits. And for me, I think I might have found it. I might have found it, and it might have been the nightclub scene. Because at no point have I, seen, a nightclub scene on TV or YouTube, or walked past one as I'm walking through Seattle and thought to myself, man, I wish we could do this for the Lord. Like, I wish there was a Christian version of this thing.
Dude,
that would be so nice.
Never
once have I thought that.
No.
Okay, Jack. Well, you know what? As you know, whenever you do any amount of preaching, there's an element of having to, be on your feet. Right? Or you got to be quick on your feet, quick on your toes. Always be alert. Keep your head on a swivel, especially in today's day and age. And this pastor gets that up. Very up close and personal. And the best part about this is not the thing itself, but it's a noise that happens when this individual finally, kind of gets stopped from his from his, I don't know what he's trying to do, but here, I'll play it for you, and I'll tell you what is my favorite part of this video.
Come on, man of God, I see you. Come on.
Oh, wow.
Y'all clap y'all hands and give God praise.
Okay.
For the tackle?
So, dude.
He just want to give me a hug. Come on.
So this pastor, I don't know who he is, but he's up there doing his thing, right? Dressed in some sort of like school uniform. Now that I'm actually looking at this video, he's in like a he's in like a Letterman, those old Letterman's jackets,
like when
1950s. Yeah, exactly, when they were cardigans, right?
Letterman cardigans. Yeah,
that's what he's wearing. But for this, this kid jumps up on stage and is obviously trying to make a moment for himself. And the noise that you hear, I can't describe it it was a yelp. It was like you kicked a puppy. Because he rushes, and again, like, watch on YouTube. It's so much better on YouTube.
Oh my gosh!
He rushes this pastor. He tries to wrap him up. The pastor does a good job at dodging it, and then the security shows up.
Dude.
And absolutely, like, I think this guy. Let's watch this.
Him.
Let's watch this again.
Come on, man of God, I see you. Come on.
Roman Reigns, like, through the ropes.
Goldberg, right?
Good dodge.
Goldberg, right there.
The noise that he makes, dude. Watch out! Watch out!
Y'all clap y'all hands and give God.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that's the best, man.
Oh, wow.
I love it. I have such a morbid love of watching people just absolutely get stuck, dude. It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing, Jack. Ministry's weird, man. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to come through the doors on any given Sunday. You always have to be ready. All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our segue into our topic today. I'll be honest. Part of me did not want to talk about this because I'm frustrated at the whole thing. Yeah. It's a frustrating thing. And I think it's idiocy. It's stupidity on the greatest level that I think is imaginable. But over the weekend, there was a protest that happened at a city's church in Minnesota, in which some protesters that were, I believe they were protesting ICE and the deportation of illegals from our country. They were protesting that, and they decided, not to be content with taking their protests on the street or in front of the courthouse. They decided to enter a church on the Lord's Day during worship. Now, to my knowledge, the reason that they chose this is because one of the pastors on staff works for ICE. I believe that is that's what I claimed.
What I can ascertain as well too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whether or not that's true doesn't matter. In my opinion. So we have videos have surfaced, pictures have surfaced of this anti-ICE protesting group entering into the sanctuary of this local church in the middle of their service. I believe it was an SBC church. Is what I read. Yeah. And disrupted the service, and people had to get up and go home fearing for their safety. There's pictures online of, kids crying and being very disturbed because of the language that was being used against these people and the violent ways that they were getting in people's faces. That's very, very frustrating. And among the protesters doing his darndest to stay relevant, Jack, we have Don Lemon.
Don Lemon, dude.
Don Lemon. I haven't thought of Don Lemon.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Since the beginning of COVID, and I think he knows that, and that's why he's pulling the stunt. So I have a little video. Don Lemon was doing his, and I use, for our audio only listeners, I use air quotes here. He was doing his journalism, in which he was with this group entering into the church, and he had the bright idea of giving some airtime to one of the pastors, which I think did Don Lemon no favors. I actually have that video here. We're going to play this where you can hear the protesting happening in the background. You see the pastor very, very distracted as obviously this huge group comes into his church, and Don Lemon, of all people, shoves a microphone in front of his face, right?
Not the best time, Don Lemon.
Not the best. No, Don Lemon doing his darndest to get a soundbite and make it political. And I got it, dude. I got to give kudos to this pastor. Again, I don't know this church. I don't know this pastor. I don't know the health of the church, but this whole thing is out of bounds. The entire thing is out of bounds. Yeah, complete idiocy. And at the time of this recording, I have heard, I do not know if it is confirmed. We'll know more, obviously, when this releases on Thursday, that a warrant has been put out for Don Lemon's arrest, which I hope happens because he violated, I believe it's the FACE Act, which was enacted to combat the Ku Klux Klan. So if this happens,
this is so bizarre.
Here's the thing. If this happens, let me describe what happens here. If he gets arrested in line with the FACE Act, you have a black man getting arrested under the law that was put in place to combat the KKK on Martin Luther King Day. Yeah.
This is so bizarre, dude.
You cannot make this crap up, this timeline is insane.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm gonna play this video, and then I know Jack has some thoughts on it. That I'll let him get into, and
sure.
We'll take it from there. This is Don Lemon, people engaging in some hard-hitting journalism with one of the pastors of this city church.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay,
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dude. Applause to this pastor.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know him. I don't know his church. I'm not making any comments on whether the health of this church or not. But in this moment, my hat goes off to this guy.
Yeah.
Who obviously his main concern in that moment, he says it, is his flock, his people. Yeah. He has to go care for them. You can tell he is so agitated and frustrated and worried for the people that God has placed under his care that he tries to get out of the interview halfway through. Don Lemon pulls him back in. He grabs his arm. You see him grab his arm, and he pulls him back in. And then he accuses this guy of
pushing him.
Right? Again, there's so much about this that really it's stuff like this that I have to be very careful because like this causes such a visceral reaction in me as a pastor, and I start obviously you start putting it into your own circumstances, your own shoes, right? Well, what happened if this group did this at Redeemer, right?
Sure.
And I think we're going to kind of get into some of those. One, I don't think they'd make it in the door. Two, I would pray that I would have as much composure and grace as this pastor did. Because I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
This was a very patient and gracious response that he gave. I think it was a very good one. And him not taking the bait that he kept trying to fish. He kept trying to fish. He kept trying to throw the bait. And this guy kept bringing it back saying, no, we're here to worship. Mm-hmm. We're not here to talk politics. I'm not here to talk the First Amendment with you. We're here to worship. That's what we're here to do. And he would not take the bait. He would not take the bait to come into a conversation that Don Lemon obviously wanted him to come into. Hats off to this pastor, and well done, and extremely frustrating.
Oh yeah.
And anger-inducing situation for me personally. Just watching that's really frustrating. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Jack, and let you say your piece with that. Because if I continue, we'll get into podluck territory, and we don't want to. We want to be careful.
I think I was telling Josh about this, about where I would come at this on a couple different levels. One part of it is I would come at this from the security standpoint, being a volunteer on our security team at my local church. And so I don't know if they have a security team at this local church, but I think now's the time to start one. I'm
sure they'll engage in Sunday morning worship much differently now.
Yeah. And I think the reason why this group came here too, I don't think that fit. So to have a member of a church staff who's also a political appointee or somebody who works for the federal government to come there to just protest the church because of that person on the staff. Yeah. That's not a 1-for-1.
No, that's out of bounds.
That's not a 1-for-1 trade-off right there. So if they have issues with that pastor, they should have addressed those issues in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been more appropriate. What's not appropriate is doing stunts like this.
Yep.
I could say this is 100 times worse than I've had to deal with of my entire span of volunteering as like church security.
Yeah, dude, the worst that I've had to deal with was a homeless guy snorting cocaine off a hymnal. Like that. I mean, here's the thing. Unique. Welcome to the PNW.
Yeah,
but this is a next level security concern.
I've had homeless guys who were either mentally not stable or either on some sort of drug sit in a pew and try and interrupt the service and try and make something, and we've escorted them out, and then you trespass them off the property. So I think it shows how important church security is, and for people to say that church security is going against any kind of biblical teaching is not true. Like, we're not
sure.
You being part of a church security team is you making sure that you're caring for the welfare of the local flock.
Right.
You're not a vigilante. You're not a militia member when you're part of a security team serving at a local church. You're literally submitting to the authority of the elders and submitting to the authority of the local like law enforcement agencies that you'll have to call, because you might call them one day if that comes to terms. So that's part of it. The other part of it too is just how this is just one side of the coin, where I think this is just one extreme, where I think that it's one side of the coin that I don't think is helpful to our conversation. So I was talking to Josh about this. So this is one side of two perspectives on the same coin that is pretty much what we're dealing with right now. And this is very in your face, the leftist side of the coin, very kind of open in your face. We're going to go and into your church and make you account for stuff.
Sure.
Which I don't think is the appropriate setting to do that. I think where you can do that the best is talking to your local congressmen or senators or elected officials in order to do that. But the other side too is that this is just as bad as if we were to enact Christian nationalist policies in order to get non-believers in the church by some sort of tax break, which a lot of people have said about too. So what's going on here is just as bad if we were to do it in another way, maybe not so much in your face and radical in that sense. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, again, we have to be consistent, right? It doesn't matter who's doing the thing. If the thing is unbiblical, you call it out for being unbiblical, right? And whether it's people coming into a church and disrupting service, or you have, individuals that are utilizing church as some sort of weapon or some sort of conduit to push a political narrative. Again, like, we're seeing the fruits in our culture right now of this overemphasized and this infatuation with politics instead of biblical Christianity, right?
Yeah.
And I think no part of what happened at this church was biblical Christianity at all. That's just it was completely political driven, right? But we have to be very careful that we're being consistent. I agree with you across the board, and that we identify correctly and call out when things are politically motivated versus biblically, right? And just because you say something is biblically motivated doesn't automatically mean that it is. So although the situations might be different, the root cause that we've got here is the same, and it's a misunderstanding of the issues that we have here in America. And you're applying a Band-Aid to it when it needs a scalpel.
Yeah.
And that's what the Word of God is. That's what the gospel is. It's a scalpel, right? It cuts out what needs to be cut out. It cuts out the infection so that there might be life. That's what the Word of God does. And whether you are, on the side of, these protesters, or on the side of, the Christian nationalism thing, trying to promote their things, both are a result of individuals placing the culture over the Bible, and viewing the Bible through the lens of the cultural moment. And we can't do that. You know, I was just having a conversation with one of our young folks about some issues that they're going through and just trying to figure out how to navigate some things with friends. And, you know, we've talked about this on the podcast before. The young folks today are dealing with things that I never had to deal with when I was their age.
Yeah.
You know, and you remove the, you know, a trick, not a trick, a tactic, a strategy that I employ with them. It's like, okay, let's remove ourselves from this, you know, particular moment because it's very prevalent in our culture. And let's apply these same details to a different sin, right? So obviously there's things that come up with how do I act with my friends that are part of, you know, LGBTQ? How do I you know, interact with you know, friends who identify this way? It's like, okay, look, let's just, it's hard to think of, you know, it's hard to think clearly often in those things because of how prevalent it is in the culture and how it muddies the waters. Yeah. So let's remove ourselves from that particular instance and let's apply the same premise to a different sin. If we agree that, you know, two men marrying each other is a sin, but we're not sure how to navigate that biblically because, well, okay, let's just remove it from that example. Let's put it into something else, right? What if a man cheated on his wife? How are we going to interact with that? What if a man is abusing a child? How are we going to interact with that? It's the same rules. All of a sudden, the water gets real clear. It's like, oh, well, obviously we would do this. Like, yeah. And it doesn't have to do with the thing. It has to do with whether or not Scripture says it's right or wrong, right? So,
yeah.
The only reason I'm saying that is because it's important, I think, to call out what needs to be called out, and that our culture is biblically illiterate, and it's crept into the church, and we deal with this also. And that's why, you know, videos like this, again, I don't know this guy, I don't know his church, but videos like this where he's not taking the bait and he's saying, no, we're here to worship. What you are doing is completely inappropriate. I'm not going to engage. No one here is going to engage with you on this. That's not what today is for. I think he made Lemon look like a fool. And I'm proud of this guy for doing it. He also looks like a wrestler, which I don't know. Like I have a, you know, being one myself and being a coach, I've got a good like sense of like, I've got a good radar for guys that I think were in like sports. This guy looks like one to me. I mean, the cauliflower ear is always a dead giveaway. I don't see it on him, but I don't know. He's got the vibe of a wrestler, which I dig.
Yeah. I think the other problem too is just, it goes back into, you know, you're dealing with you're dealing with something too that has happened in the ancient church. So in the ancient church, you had city officials in certain towns and cities, metropolitan areas that were parts of a local church.
Sure.
So this is kind of, one of those being, you had a, I'm trying to remember his name. It is in the epistles. I remember that too, because Paul talks about him, but he was I think he was a city treasurer in Thessalonica, and he's mentioned in there. What you don't have, interestingly enough, is the people of the citizens of that town going to his local house church and dragging him out and telling him to, you know, be a better, you know, public servant or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's not to go inside a church and to protest is not the place that you protest against a certain thing that you absolutely do not agree with, in this case being ICE's way in which they're deporting people and interacting people. The way that you do that is through your local elected officials in order to combat a policy issue. You don't do that through going to this guy's place, his church, and then saying, well, you need to account for this guy in your church. Well, how do you not know that they might be doing that already, or they might be talking to him? Like, this goes back into the autonomy of the local church again, to where people are trying to, in one way or the other, they're trying to make it in a way in which the state has to account for churches as well too. So they're not calling it Christian nationalism, but they are wanting the state to be involved in policing a church, which that's not the job of the state.
No.
And I don't think anybody, and our Baptist background goes back to say the job of the state is not to police churches or to do that. It's to institute and follow the laws, right?
Yeah.
Upon the land.
Yep.
Now, I think that's the problem. Like, the protesters don't want to admit this, but I feel like they are participating in a type of statism that they wouldn't say that they're a part of, but they want the state to go against this church in some form or fashion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And,
or I mean, at bare minimum, public opinion.
Oh, yeah. And so I just don't understand how you can be so focused on the law and yet go after people who are trying to be law-abiding citizens, who are just trying to show up to worship and to gather with their local church members and their churchmen. I just don't understand why that is a good target for
because
you
it's
to
not
do.
it's not about the law. Again, I don't want to just get all politically frustrated here, but like they've never cared about the law. They'll use the law when it's convenient, and they'll go against it when it's not. It's not about upkeeping a law. It's about upkeeping an agenda that's fueled by, ultimately, I believe, a hate for Christ and Scripture. It's like, ultimately, that is what we're dealing with here. Is you have individuals that hate Jesus, that don't want anything to do with him. So churches become prime targets for that, and it's going to, I believe, escalate as our culture moves further and further away from Scripture. And I think churches need to start taking a real close look at how are we going to respond if and when this comes to our doors, and what should our responsibility be when someone's at the door trying to get in, right? And I think that's where churches need to really highly consider security training as part of the everyday practice on the Lord's Day, right? I think you need to take that really seriously, because you never know the crazy person that's going to come in who's jacked up on MSNBC and PCP and want to just go to town on some church members.
It was just
it's just gonna. Oh, and by the way, his name was Erastus. I just Googled it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Erastus,
Erastus. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing too, is like, if you have a problem with people who are in a local church, who are elected officials or who are political appointees.
Yeah. Write your congressman.
You go through the right channels. You don't go to a local church and protest it thinking that that's the way to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Because one way or the other, like, you're trying to be a presbyter, like that mob was trying to be a presbytery at that point in time. And that's not the way that churches function, of what Josh and I believe. Like, we believe that local church knows what's best for its people. And to assume that maybe those pastors aren't having conversations with that other pastor who is in ICE is ignorant, because I'm sure they're having conversations. I'm sure there's no ignorance to what's going on, and they're just turning a blind eye and not talking about that stuff on staff. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest thing is to trust the local church and let the local church do what it needs to do, instead of you trying to take over and to try and be their presbytery and try and rein them in. That's not going to help anybody.
Well, I think Christians need to understand that this world is led by their passions, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever the cultural moment demands that you be passionate about, that's what that's what the world's going to be passionate about, right? And by and large, in America, the sights really haven't fallen on the church a whole lot. I think that could change. And I think we might be seeing the beginnings of that changing. I don't know, right? And again, I don't know the ins and outs of the political thing with ICE. I don't know what's going on there. Frankly, I'm too busy to care, and maybe that just sounds callous, and I don't mean it to be. But like I have what I need to focus on in front of me here, right? If someone came in and did the same thing at Redeemer, and I was like, "What's your opinion on ICE?" Like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I'm Tommy Lee Jones, like in The Fugitive. Like, I didn't kill my wife. Like, I don't care. I just have a job to do, dude. That's not my job, right? I am called to take care of these sheep, like this pastor said. And but I think what Christians need to realize, and I think what we need to understand, is why we need to be saturated in the Word of God, both in our Lord's days and personally, is we are not called to be led by our passions. What happened Sunday was an act of passion and sin. People being led by what they
and it wasn't peaceful either.
I know what. No, nothing about that was peaceful.
Yeah,
nothing is peaceful about going into a church and making kids cry because you're screaming so loud.
Or
nothing's peaceful about that.
Or just engaging in a way that that's not civility.
It's not. No, it's not. I mean, I think there is a good way to protest. Like, I'm not a big protest guy. I've never joined a protest. I don't really foresee myself ever doing that. It would be a very particular thing, but I support people's right to protest. It's it's an American thing. Go for it, but do it peacefully, and don't infringe on other people's rights while you do it. Right. So it's just, I see stuff like this, and it makes me, I'd say sinfully angry. Because I just want to throw it back and be like, okay, you're going to come in here and disrupt us. You're going to scare our children. You're going to make them cry. You're going to make our mom and dads feel like, they're unsafe. Well, you're going to get, the 5-fingered hand of fellowship here, and we'll see how long you stay in the sanctuary. Probably not the best response, right?
Sure.
Maybe it is. I'll tell you if it ever happens.
I will tell you, there was other footage from other protesters that were ignorant, that were very mocking. I mean, there was one guy that
I did see it where he was it was F words and F bombs in front of the kids and the women. I saw that,
and then he went up to other people and said, "Look at you, you're all entitled and blah blah blah." And then on top of it, it's like, this isn't how Jesus would. It's like you worship a guy in a suit, and it's like you have no context.
No.
You have no business to tell us and to put your moral opinion upon a church that you have no clue what's going on in. And so I thought that was very that
I did see that video.
Mad.
Yeah, I did see that.
Because to go inside a place of worship and to say that to people, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, there's no excuse. So again, like, they hate Jesus. Right. Let's get out of the mud and out of the fog. Let's get up to 30,000 feet where we can see and breathe clearly. They hate Jesus. So they're going to be indignant against his people. They don't need, they don't even need an excuse. It's just what happens. Right. Yeah. And the church has been at the forefront of that. Right. So churches just need to be ready. I think, on a practical level, beef up your security, have those discussions, maybe involve your local law enforcement if you're on good terms with them, get some training for some of your guys on conflict resolution, de-escalation, things like that. Have somebody in the back keeping an eye on things. Kudos to this pastor. I guess that's all I've got to say on it.
I think the last thing to say too is just we need a I mean, this is going to be the tension point with a lot of churches, right? There needs to be a way in which because a lot of people are going to take this moment and say, "Who's my neighbor?"
Sure.
Is it the protester who's standing in the middle of my church, like making a scene, or is it the police officer and the law enforcement and the ICE agents that are coming in and do stuff? Well, both of them are. So you need to radically show mercy and grace to both those people in that sense, even though you might be, this has happened to me before, people, like if you want a front row seat into how you give mercy and grace to people who you think are, transgressing against you, like, boy, have I got a case study for you.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you find yourself in the case where, you're just trying to live your life and ICE throws up a roadblock somewhere and you got to navigate around it, well, you got to navigate it around it with some sort of mercy and grace to those people, but also to certain immigrants that are in your neighborhood. We just had this on our Lord's Day too, to where we were both praying for our Afghan brothers and sisters who were here, who might be deported back to Afghanistan, who would absolutely face death if the government sent them back and deported them back to Afghanistan. So we have to pray for them if the government decides to deport them, but we also have to pray for the governmental authorities in order to pray for them as well too. So it's not just, I have to pray for this person and that's it. It's it's a everybody thing, guys. Like this isn't a pick or choose. This is, no, you have to dispense mercy and grace to everybody along the way. And yeah, that sounds crazy, but you know what? Jesus told us to do that. So
yeah. And I live in a land, like, to accompany that and to balance that out. Like, I live in a land that has rules, and I'm going to follow those rules of the land. Right. And I don't have an option not to do that, because that is also showing a good witness for Christ, is that you are honoring the rules of the land. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's while you're there. So I'm able to do both of those things and still be a Christian. Right. But once you start coming into my church, and you frightening my kids and you're scaring the moms, we have a different issue.
Yeah.
Like it's going to change, because yes, yeah.
That'd be so. For one last thought too. So we meet in a public school. So it'd be crazy if this happened, because I don't know what the policy would be if that happened at the school that we meet at, because I'm sure the protesters would say something along the lines of, well, we have the right to be here because it's a public place and stuff like that. Because we have people going through, there's a trail and stuff through that school. So
yeah,
that would be an interesting situation for the security team. I might have to email my pastors to see what's our protocol if this happens in our city here, guys.
Yeah, I do think it's wise for churches to be ready and to at least have these discussions, because it's possible that this could keep happening more and more. So yeah, dumb stuff over the weekend, but kudos to this pastor, and this whole situation's just very unfortunate and frustrating. So
yeah.
But Jack, my friend, Jesus is still king, and our people still gather no matter what the situation, in the cathedrals or the catacombs, and the gospel will never go away. And as much as Don Lemon wishes it would, it won't. And hopefully he'll be going away here soon for a very long time. Sorry, that's not very nice. Jack, would you please get us out of here, my friend?
Yes. If you want to comment or send us a question, or if you have concern about us here at the Reformatory and making local truth central to the believer's life, you can follow us on the sociables, if you will. Yes, you can follow us on those little dastardly sites like the Metaverse, the Facebook, if you will, the Instagram, goes well with chocolate, marshmallow, maybe a little heresy sprinkled on top, and also the most interesting of them all, the sociable, formerly known as Twitter X. You can follow us at those sociable sites at the tag @ReformatoryPod. Like I said, you can drop us a direct message, comment, question, concern for us, episode idea, anything along those lines. Josh, you can tell the lovely people how they might support us further here in our endeavors.
That's right. Well, if you want to watch this podcast as well as listen to it, it is a lot more fun with the Instagrams. Head on over to YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications, as the kids say. We'd really appreciate that. We would appreciate you sharing this podcast with a friend. Give us a little rating on Apple and Spotify. That would be awesome as well. Last but not least, we have a Patreon. And as we have said, as of today, excuse me, first-time signups, first-time members of the Podluck are receiving a special 50% off your first month. So if you've been thinking about joining the Podluck and you just have not pulled the trigger, we would encourage you to do so. You can get 50% off your first month of the Podluck membership. Use the code PODLUCK, that's PODLUCK, at checkout and get 50% off your first month. And dude, Podluck's great. You get bonus episodes every week. And this episode you get early. We throw a bunch of other stuff in there. It's a good time. We're in the process right now of scheduling our first Podluck get together. So if you want to be there for the reformatory smoke sesh, dude, this is the best. You can get in cheap right now, and for $250, man, it's a great deal. But normally for $5 this month, first time new promo members get 50% off. And if you choose to do so, our pledge to you is that your name shall be hallowed.
Hallowed, sir. Hallowed.
Hallowed through the halls of the podcast. That is our pledge to you. We thank you all for listening, and we will catch you on the next step of the Reformatory.